heart of an ancient forest, untouched by time and civilization, stood a decrepit house. Its wooden beams groaned under the burden of years, and its windows were caked with grime and cobwebs. Inside this forsaken dwelling lived a man named Elias, known by the few who remembered him as the hermit of the woods. Loneliness was his only companion, a shadow that clung to him as tightly as his own skin. Elias had once been a vibrant man, full of dreams and ambitions. He had been a respected scholar, a lover of poetry and art, and a man deeply in love with his wife Celia. They had lived in a bustling village on the edge of the forest, surrounded by friends and family, but a series of tragedies had stripped him of everything he held dear. A devastating fire had ravaged the village, claiming the lives of Celia and their young daughter Amara. The fire had also taken Elias's sight, leaving him to navigate the world in darkness. Grief-stricken and tormented by guilt, Elias retreated into the forest, seeking solace in its silence. He built his house deep in the woods, far from the memories that haunted him. Now he lived a life of solitude, his only solace found in the whispers of the trees and the distant call of crows. Years passed and Elias's days blended into one another, a monotonous blur of existence. He spoke to no one, save for the occasional merchant who ventured into the forest to sell goods. Even these encounters were brief and devoid of warmth. Elias had become a ghost, a shadow of the man he once was. One cold, moonless night, Elias ventured deeper into the forest than ever before. The wind howled through the trees and the air was thick with the scent of pine and decay. His feet crunched on the fallen leaves and twigs, creating a symphony of isolation. As he wandered aimlessly, he stumbled upon a small twisted tree. Its gnarled branches reached out like skeletal fingers, and it bore a single fruit, a plum, dark as midnight, glistening with an otherworldly sheen. Drawn to its unnatural beauty, Elias reached out and plucked the plum from its branch. As his fingers closed around the fruit, he felt a strange warmth emanate from it, a stark contrast to the chill of the night air. He held it close, marveling at its smooth surface. It felt almost alive, pulsing with a faint rhythmic energy. Back in his ramshackle home, Elias placed the plum on a worn wooden table. He sat and stared at it for hours, mesmerized by its glossy exterior. He could not explain why, but he felt an inexplicable connection to the fruit, as if it held the answers to the questions that haunted his mind. He found himself drawn to it, unable to tear his gaze away. Days turned into weeks, and Elias became increasingly obsessed with the plum. He refused to eat or sleep, consumed by the urge to understand the fruit's dark allure. He began to have vivid dreams, nightmares of a world shrouded in darkness, where twisted creatures roamed and whispered secrets of ancient curses. In these dreams, he saw glimpses of his past, twisted and distorted by the passage of time. One night, driven by an insatiable curiosity, Elias decided to eat the plum. As his teeth sank into its flesh, he felt a surge of warmth spread through his body. The taste was unlike anything he had ever experienced, sweet yet tinged with a bitter aftertaste that lingered on his tongue. With each bite, memories of his lost family and friends flooded back, vivid and raw. Tears streamed down his face as he relived the pain of his past, the weight of his loneliness crushing him. But as the last bite slid down his throat, something changed. The warmth turned to searing heat, burning through his veins like liquid fire. Elias fell to the floor, writhing in agony. His screams echoed through the empty house, merging with the howls of the wind outside. In the throes of his torment, Elias felt his mind unravel. His vision blurred, and he saw shadowy figures emerging from the darkness, their eyes glowing with malevolent light. They surrounded him, whispering in a language he could not understand. As their whispers grew louder, Elias realized that the plum had not been a gift, but a curse, a trap set by malevolent spirits to claim his soul. The last thing Elias saw before his vision went black was the twisted tree standing in the forest, bearing another dark plum, waiting for the next lonely soul to find it. In the heart of the ancient forest, the decrepit house stood silent once more. The hermit of the woods was gone, his existence swallowed by the darkness, and the plum, dark as midnight, glistened with an otherworldly sheen, waiting for its next victim. Elias woke up in a place that was familiar yet foreign. The darkness that had clouded his vision was replaced by a dim, eerie light. He found himself in a vast, desolate landscape, shrouded in mist. The ground beneath him was cold and hard, and the air was thick with the stench of decay. He tried to stand, but his legs felt weak and unsteady. As he struggled to his feet, he realized that his body felt different, lighter, almost insubstantial. He looked down at his hands and saw that they were translucent, glowing faintly with an ethereal light. Panic set in as he tried to make sense of his surroundings. He was no longer in his home, no longer in the world he knew. The landscape stretched out endlessly in all directions, a barren wasteland of twisted trees and jagged rocks. The sky above was a swirling mass of dark clouds, and the only sound was the distant howling of the wind. Elias began to walk, his steps tentative and uncertain. As he moved through the desolate landscape, he felt a growing sense of unease. The shadows seemed to shift and move around him, as if they were alive, watching his every move. After what felt like hours of wandering, Elias came upon a crumbling stone temple. The structure was ancient, covered in vines and moss, and its entrance was guarded by two statues of grotesque, twisted creatures. Despite his fear, Elias felt an inexplicable pull towards the temple, as if it held the answers he sought. He entered the temple, his footsteps echoing through the empty halls. The air inside was heavy with the scent of incense and decay. The walls were covered in faded murals depicting scenes of torment and suffering. As he made his way deeper into the temple, he heard the faint sound of chanting, growing louder with each step. Elias followed the sound until he reached a large, dimly lit chamber. In the center of the room stood an altar, upon which lay a dark plum, identical to the one he had eaten. Surrounding the altar were hooded figures, their faces hidden in shadow, chanting in a language he did not understand. As Elias approached the altar, the chanting ceased, and the hooded figures turned to face him. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light, and their expressions were inscrutable. One of the figures stepped forward, its voice a low, guttural growl. "Welcome, Elias," the figure said. "You have come far to find us." Elias's heart pounded in his chest. "Who are you?" he demanded. "What is this place?" The figure chuckled, a sound that sent chills down Elias's spine. "We are the keepers of the plums," it said. "This is the realm of the lost, where those who have consumed the cursed fruit are trapped for eternity." Elias's mind reeled. "But why? Why was I cursed?" The figure's expression remained inscrutable. "The plums are not just fruit, Elias. They are vessels of ancient magic, containing the souls of those who have been sacrificed to the forest. When you consumed the plum, you became one of us, bound to this realm for eternity." Elias felt a wave of despair wash over him. "There must be a way to break the curse," he pleaded. "A way to return to my world." The figure shook its head. "There is no escape from this realm. The only way to break the curse is to pass it on to another soul, to trap them in your place." Elias recoiled in horror. "I can't do that. I won't condemn another to this fate." The figure's eyes glowed with an ominous light. "So you have no choice, Elias. The curse will consume you, just as it has consumed all who came before you." Elias felt a surge of determination. "I won't give in to the curse," he vowed. "I will find a way to break it no matter the cost." The figure chuckled again. "You are welcome to try, Elias, but know this, time is running out. The longer you remain in this realm, the more the curse will consume you." With that, the hooded figures resumed their chanting, and Elias found himself alone in the chamber. The dark plum on the altar seemed to pulse with an eerie light, a constant reminder of the curse that bound him. Elias knew he had to act quickly. He had to find a way to break the curse before it consumed him completely. He left the temple and ventured back into the desolate landscape, determined to find a way to escape the realm of the lost. As he wandered through the barren wasteland, Elias encountered other lost souls, each one a victim of the curse. They were twisted and deformed, their faces etched with agony and despair. Some had been trapped in the realm for centuries, their minds broken by the endless torment. Elias spoke to each of them, hoping to find someone who knew how to break the curse, but all he found were stories of hopelessness and despair. No one had ever escaped the realm of the lost, and the curse continued to claim new victims with each passing year. Despite the overwhelming odds, Elias refused to give up. He continued his search, driven by a fierce determination to find a way out. As he wandered the desolate landscape, he began to piece together the fragments of ancient lore he had learned as a scholar. He remembered stories of powerful artifacts that could break even the most ancient curses, hidden deep within the heart of the forest. These artifacts were said to be guarded by ancient spirits, beings of immense power and wisdom. Elias knew that finding these artifacts would be his only chance to break the curse. He ventured deeper into the forest, following the faint whispers of the trees. The journey was treacherous, and the forest seemed to conspire against him at every turn. The shadows grew darker, and the air grew colder with each step. After days of relentless searching, Elias stumbled upon a hidden grove. In the center of the grove stood a massive stone pedestal, upon which rested a golden amulet. The amulet pulsed with a faint, otherworldly light, and Elias knew that he had found one of the ancient artifacts. As he reached out to take the amulet, he felt a presence behind him. He turned to see a figure standing at the edge of the grove, shrouded in darkness. The figure stepped forward, revealing itself to be one of the ancient spirits. The spirit's eyes glowed with an intense light, and its voice echoed through the grove. "Elias, you have come seeking the power to break the curse." Elias nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. "I must break the curse. I cannot condemn another soul to this fate." The spirit regarded him with an inscrutable expression. "The path you seek is fraught with danger. The curse is powerful, and breaking it will come at a great cost." Elias's resolve did not waver. "I am willing to pay any price to break the curse." The spirit nodded slowly. "Very well. The amulet you seek has the power to break the curse, but it requires a sacrifice. To wield its power, you must give up the thing you hold most dear." Elias's mind raced. What did he hold most dear? He had lost everything he loved, his family, his friends, his sight. There was nothing left for him to give. The spirit seemed to read his thoughts. "Your love for your family still burns within you, Elias. That is the sacrifice you must make. You must let go of your memories, your grief, your love. Only then will the amulet's power be yours." Elias felt a wave of sorrow wash over him. His memories of Celia and Amara were all he had left, the only things that had kept him going through the years of loneliness and despair. But he knew that he could not let the curse claim another soul. With a heavy heart, Elias reached out and took the amulet. As his fingers closed around it, he felt a searing pain in his chest. Memories of his family flooded his mind, vivid and raw. He saw their faces, heard their voices, felt their love. And then, one by one, the memories began to fade. The pain in his chest grew more intense, and he felt as if his heart were being torn apart. Tears streamed down his face as he let go of the memories, releasing them into the void. When the pain finally subsided, Elias felt an emptiness within him, a hollow void where his love for his family had once been. But he also felt a new strength, a power that surged through his veins. The spirit nodded in approval. "The sacrifice has been made. The power of the amulet is yours. Use it wisely and break the curse." Elias clutched the amulet tightly, feeling its power resonate within him. He knew what he had to do. He had to return to the temple, confront the hooded figures, and use the amulet to break the curse once and for all. With newfound determination, Elias made his way back to the temple. The journey was arduous, but he pressed on, driven by the knowledge that he had the power to end the curse. When he arrived at the temple, the hooded figures were waiting for him. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light, and their expressions were inscrutable. Elias held up the amulet, feeling its power surge through him. "I have the power to break the curse," he declared. "I will not allow another soul to be condemned to this fate." The hooded figures regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "You cannot break the curse, Elias. It is eternal, unbreakable." Elias's grip on the amulet tightened. "I have made the sacrifice. I have the power. The curse will end." With those words, he focused the amulet's power, channeling it into the room. A blinding light filled the chamber, and the hooded figures recoiled in pain. The air crackled with energy, and the walls of the temple began to tremble. Elias felt the curse's grip on him loosen, felt the darkness begin to recede. The hooded figures screamed in agony as the light consumed them, their forms disintegrating into nothingness. When the light finally faded, Elias found himself standing alone in the chamber. The dark plum on the altar had vanished, and the oppressive weight of the curse was gone. Elias felt a sense of relief wash over him. He had done it. He had broken the curse. But as he looked around the emptied chamber, he felt a pang of sorrow. The memories of his family were gone. The love he had once felt reduced to a hollow void. He knew that he could never return to the life he had once known, but he also knew that he had saved countless souls from the same fate, and that knowledge gave him a sense of purpose, a reason to continue on. Elias left the temple and ventured back into the forest. The landscape had changed, the darkness lifting to reveal a world filled with light and life. The trees were lush and green, and the air was filled with the sound of birdsong. As he walked through the forest, Elias felt a sense of peace settle over him. He knew that he would never be the same, but he also knew that he had the power to protect others from the curse's darkness. In the heart of the ancient forest, the decrepit house stood silent once more. The hermit of the woods was gone, his existence swallowed by the darkness, and the plum, dark as midnight, glistened with an otherworldly sheen waiting for its next victim. But Elias was no longer a victim. He was a guardian, a protector of the forest and its secrets. And as he wandered through the trees, he knew that he would never be alone again.